So welcome everyone, and it is, we just passed through the new moon in Aries last night, so that's the first new moon of the astrological year. So that's where we are. Aries is like a fire starter, an initiator, and that energy of springtime that we have. So you may have even felt that even though technically we've been in spring, depending on which sort of marker or calendar you use, since either early February when Imbolc happened, or when everybody else tends to think about the equinox. But either way, those were both a while ago. And you may have felt sluggish since then and been like, how come I don't feel that like burst of spring energy? I've definitely been that way. I have felt like it's still October. I've been sort of in my hole. And like lots of people, I can be a prolific sort of like writer and opinioned person out into the social media world, and writing lots of stuff and sharing things, and I've been like virtually absent, and I haven't like done one of those I'm not doing this anymore. It's just like I've been in this sort of place where I'm almost like I got nothing to say, and it's and I can feel it's just the start and the spark of things in the past few days. And I think it really is just, we're moving through cycles, and some things start and some things end. And it's important to understand, and I think it's one reason why I teach along with the cycles of the moon and the cycles of the seasons, and all many different other ones, is that sometimes we get in this place where it feels like October when it's April. And I don't mean the crazy weather, I just mean that like inside you're like, wow, I'm feeling way more like this than like that, and yet the world is saying it should look like this. And then you start worrying like, oh God, am I like something wrong with me? And so then I'll be like, oh, what else is going on beyond the most obvious? What else is going on? Where am I? What? And it's there's personal, there's collective, there's transpersonal, and all of these things are happening all at once. And depending on your own nature and your karma and your soul imprints and all sorts of things, those things add together and make you be like, oh, it feels like it should be Samhain. It feels like it should be the releasing of the year, when it's actually the hoo-ha of the year beginning. So when you start to pay attention more, you can start to say, oh, I understand. And I don't have to fight it, and I don't have to try to force myself out of it. And that doesn't mean I'm getting stuck in it. Right? And you're in this internal conversation with it. And like, so for myself, I'm about to go to the UK. I'll be there for 3 weeks. And part of what I'm doing there is I'm actually completing a 4-year thing that I've been working on. I've just done the equivalent of, a university level education in a particular subject that has a lot to do with seasons and cycles and all of these things. And I'll be going over there, and the process is complete, and it'll be sort of the equivalent of the commencement ceremony of that. So that's also too, whenever you're like walking through a particular threshold, one thing that you've been doing and spending most of all of your time thinking about, and of course that won't really change, but the formal part of it has completed itself, then you get in a little bit of a period where it is good to go almost retrograde. By the way, we're not Mercury retrograde anymore, but it's almost like we as a human individual can go retrograde a little bit if you're completing something, and go into that cycle of like, looking back. Oh, wow, who was I when I started? Who am I now? What was I thinking about then? What am I also still thinking about now, and what has moved on, right? And so we're always in these cycles of initiations and completions, and usually they always come right next to each other, of course, because an initiation completes one thing and starts another, right? So just to know, like, wherever you are in that sort of cycle of feeling like, oh yeah, I'm really on top of things, raring to go, it's springtime, it's Aries new moon, or oh wow, it's springtime, it's Aries new moon, and I'm like, look at the bigger things, because some of it is all about you, some of it is out in the bigger picture, and then start thinking about, is there something I'm completing right now that I haven't been paying attention to? Is there something that's about to be initiated that's wanting me to look back at what's been before I actually step through that threshold? So that's what I'm thinking a lot about today. Even though the new moon happened yesterday, it's initiating energy, but still we're not, it's not the full moon. We're not like all the way full on. So we'll practice accordingly as well. So thank you for being here, and let's do that.